everyone. We are the Supernov-Amigas, and we're back with a new installment. We are going to be watching Under Wraps today. Disney Channel original movies #1, according to them. I am Isabel.
I'm Myra. Hi. So today we're watching Under Wraps, the very first DCOM movie. We started this whole thing off with You Lucky Dogs, but that was actually the second one. So we're throwing it back a bit this week because it's spoopy time and it just makes sense. A little bit of summary of Under Wraps. Again, 1997, that's when it came out, and it follows three kids who find an Egyptian mummy in the basement of their dead neighbor's house. And then one night, with some Disney magic, a little help from the full moon, this mummy comes to life. So they decide to take it under its wing and find a way to get him back to his sarcophagus because it's been taken by a man who's going to get arrested for tax evasion.
It's funny because this movie, even though it's Disney Channel original movie #1, it's actually like a Hallmark movie. A lot of the old ones were like collaborations with other movies, and I guess this one wasn't a Hallmark collaboration, even though I guess they own it. That's why we're going to be watching it on YouTube TV. I remember watching this a lot when I was a kid. It was definitely one of the first ones I remember seeing.
I remember seeing this movie a super long time ago, so I knew like the premise of it, but I couldn't remember some of the smaller details, like who the villain was, or why this mummy came to life at all, or how it even happened. I guess this one was like way deep in my mind. I couldn't remember a ton of things about it, but yeah, it was fun. It was a fun rewatch.
I feel like in my head I really mixed it up with the other not actually DCOM movie, the Paper Brigade. I feel like I like mixed up a lot of the elements of both stories in my head, and I was like, wait, wasn't this supposed to happen? And then it didn't happen. Or wasn't the climax supposed to be during the day? And it's like it wasn't during the day. So I think I just remembered it really, really differently, but I still enjoyed it. Actually, I think I enjoyed it more now than I did when I was little. All right, let's get to it. I also love the stop action, or the stop motion stuff.
I love the papyrus.
The Ryan Gosling SNL skit.
You remember the Avatar logo?
Yeah, it was tribal yet futuristic.
Papyrus!
Why is this shot in such a weird...
It's weird, like, fake shaky cam.
Yeah.
This is shot like a Goosebumps episode. It's, like, really weird and kind of spooky. Okay, so I'm watching this, and I'm like, I don't remember any of these characters.
I was so confused. I was like, is this... Like, I know I haven't seen it in a while, but I don't remember this. I also love how the Even Stevens' dad was making his coin, like, way before Even Stevens.
Once they leave the theater, they run into Mr. Kubat and this really spooky house, and they decide, yeah, right now is the perfect time to go and confront him about not paying Gilbert.
I can't help it, Marshall. One-headed monsters and creepy old men scare me.
Growing up, I wanted to be a Marshall, but I ended up a Gilbert.
It's quickly revealed that Mr. Kubat is absolutely nuts and releases his dog on them. First props, I was so excited. I was like, it's Patrick Star!
Yeah.
But he's also Marshall's dad in How I Met Your Mother.
I'm not ready for this. Hey, good night, buddy.
The next day, their friend Amy tells them that Mr. Kubat died and her mom is actually the one selling the house, and they should go explore it. They try to use Gilbert to spy on the inside, but he sees the mummy's hand and loses his glasses and decides to run away. How does no parent at any moment be like, yes, there's 3 kids screaming and running bloody murder, and not like peek around? Like right now, you can see adults on like next door being like, oh, there's a person smoking outside. Should I call the police? Meanwhile, here there's like 3 kids running around screaming their heads off. Just another day. Obviously, they go back to the house and look in the basement, and they find the empty sarcophagus. And before you know it, they finally see the mummy.
When he starts grunting, I can't hear anything except Patrick. It hit me once I heard him like start grunting and all this, and I was like, wait, that sounds like Patrick. And then I was like, wait, the Patrick actor is really freaking tall, and he's really freaking tall. Now tell me how this mummy would recognize that.
It's been holding it a long time, and they try to leave.
I like how they're like, oh, let's just leave, knowing that that her mom is gonna have to go there eventually.
But he's a nice mummy.
Thank you.
What did you think about the makeup, like, or the effects of the mummy?
I think for the longest time, I like legitimately thought they messed with his teeth. They made them look disgusting. I think most of the time they have like a mouth attachment, so he's just like speaking under it. I do remember being pretty impressed with it, and like I'm still kind of impressed with it for being like a made-for-TV movie.
Like, I get the same reaction when I hear my alarm each morning.
It's a watch. An alarm.
I used to have one of those little calculator ones, and I thought that was impressive.
Keep him.
Like he says, like I'm gonna keep him like he's some sort of pet or something.
We'll be back tomorrow, okay?
I love that he just understands everything that they're saying. It's not like he's like from a different century that did not speak English.
Hey, it's more than my dad says in a month.
So we just watched Terminator 2 today, and the kid in Terminator 2 teaches the Terminator, Arnold, how to do a thumbs up. And at the very end, when Terminator dies, spoiler alert, he dies, and all you see is his hand, like, before he died. So that's not all I can think about.
Two worlds collide.
So then they leave Harold, and the next day they're back at school.
Having a tea party for her dolls. She does that.
I want to know more about Esmeralda.
Best not to interrupt.
You're right, I do want a movie with this kid's mom. I also don't know why they decided to have this scene of Amy roasting this poor boy's life.
What was the point of the scene?
So then they decide to skip school and go to the local magic store and see if they can learn more about the mummy.
I like how in all these old things, there just happens to be like a shop that has a bunch of like stuff on the occult. Like Buffy with her little witch shop.
Isn't it called the magic shop?
Yeah, the magic shop. And then this dude's like, what towns are these? Do we have one?
What an entrance. I also like that he was like prepped for this. He's like, here comes the kid. Better stick on this thing in my back and pretend to be dead. But Bruce does find a book about mummies, and they learn that the mummy needs to get back to her sarcophagus before midnight on Halloween.
Yeah, trick-or-treating was a thing in ancient Egypt.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Halloween's like a pagan thing, so it's not something that the ancient Egyptians would have been celebrating.
I like how this is a giant book, and they just happen to find all the answers in this one page.
They head back to the house, but not before.
Want to see me pick my scab?
Why is this child so dirty?
Oh, yeah, right.
Amy also makes comments like this, which has Gilbert react like,
You're wearing a bra? Oh, shut up.
Again, where is the parent?
Meanwhile, Harold has left to explore the town.
No fast food employee is that happy.
Hey, they are at Culver's.
Oh, right.
Okay, so that's 2 double cheeseburgers, a small fry, and an orange soda.
What did he say that she couldn't possibly interpret as being anything close to food?
Okay, that will be $3.74. Please come around.
I think she just guessed. She literally just guessed. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna make this guy pay for this food.
That was the most surprising thing to me out of all that, though. She's like, here's all this food. It'll be $3.
Harold eventually goes to a hospital. I love that no one walks by this door at all.
Like that. I love the super obvious, trying to avoid him.
And they mistake him for a burn victim. Okay, I was legitimately like dying the first time I saw this just because of how absolutely ridiculous this is.
No pulse. Oh wait, but he's moving. No pulse.
He's like, please don't. Thankfully from here, the kids find him and they take him back to Marshall's house. Oh my god. Oh wait. Oh my god. Is that a computer?
I think it's a Mac.
Yeah, look how wide it is. Now I'm gonna Google it. 1997. Now I'm like on a mission to know what that is.
I think I found something. Well, I mean, here it says Macintosh Portable.
Oh, I think that is it. Yeah, that's totally what it is. Case is solved.
The Macintosh Portable. The more you know.
We finally find out what happens to Harold's sarcophagus.
Oh yeah, wait. We need villains.
Of course, the big reveal is that Kubat's actually alive. So we go from him being like in this like crappy outfit that looks like old into like this nice tailored like, oh, I'm an ominous type of figure here. At night, Harold makes himself at home in Marshall's bedroom but gets bored and decides to leave.
Quarantine be like, play Dreams, Alexa. Give this man an ocean spray.
Marshall figures out that Harold's missing and finds his friends to come help him look for him. This is how we know this is not a Disney movie. Because, one, she already mentioned her bra.
You're wearing a bra?
Now she's talking about sleeping in the nude.
I don't wear pajamas. I sleep in the nude.
This girl is under 12 years old. Talking about sleeping in the nude on a Disney movie to another child.
Yeah, it didn't hit right. I guess now it kind of makes sense. I didn't know about the Hallmark thing. Because I couldn't think of Disney doing that on their own. Yikes on bikes.
They find Harold, who's broken into the museum.
He's reading it.
I like how the whatever is on the, what is it called? It's so like to the point. It's like moon, eye, dust.
Gotta make it clear to anyone possible. So they try to figure out a plan, but of course...
Mommy, cool!
What is this child just going into people's yards?
I just don't understand his... What does he do? He just... It's like you said, he just goes into people's yards. Like, what...
He just loiters.
And he's like filthy. Why is he so dirty?
I don't know. I can't read.
Is this kid homeless? The kid tells him where to go, but Harold needs to describe the travel during the day. I'm sure this is probably like his favorite day to shoot. He's like, oh, thank God, the one day I don't have to be totally wrapped in... Also, this girl is living life. Like...
Right?
Simultaneously the most 70s and 90s look ever.
She looks like she would be filming a TikTok.
The four of them find the lair, and after some spying, Marshall sneaks in and sees that Kubat's still alive and trying to sell the sarcophagus. But Harold accidentally leaves behind one of his bandages, and a goon sees them leave.
I think they've been poking around in here.
Are they alone?
The giant collar.
Like really flexing on his collar.
You're not gonna believe it.
Try me. I love the lighting to make him look extra sinister. They go to the Halloween dance to look for Bruce, but instead of laying low, Harold sneaks in and is seen by the goons and dances with the Cleopatra.
Dance with me.
And then it gets messy.
I like how people don't recognize the height of their husband.
Oh, Phil?
Of course.
Well, if
That height difference. She doesn't notice.
Yeah.
this.
Right. He's just out here vibing. It's not like he's trying to trick you.
Well,
This scene is kind of sad.
they escape the goons. But it's a little kind of like Hodor.
Oh no! Oh no!
They go back to the lair for Harold, and they use Bruce's Halloween props to sneak in. Meanwhile, Gilbert stays behind. Wait. Go back. Go back. What is he typing on? He's typing.
Okay.
It looks like a Game Boy.
I'm gonna do some more detective work.
Oh, that could be the Game Boy Pocket.
Checks out. It's red.
Yeah, this is the Game Boy Pocket. Straight up playing Game Boy while he's supposed to be working. Wow.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed in 20 years.
Yeah, I just replaced that now with like a phone and TikTok. Outside of the context of it being a movie from 1997, it just looks so normal. Wait a minute, something ain't right. I like how so far, like, it's the adult who's out here playing video games. Not once have the kids been like, this is what I'm gonna do.
They manage to sneak in. Marshall finds Harold and frees him. They find a sarcophagus, but not before Kubat comes to reveal why he did it. You know, tax evasion.
In other movies, you have like this more elaborate reason for the villain to do what they're doing. And this guy's just like, nah, tax evasion.
Amy and Bruce are caught, but Gilbert saves the day by crashing into the building. But that won't stop Kubat. Another gun!
Damn, 2 for 2. Gun watch. Oh my god.
This bitch empty. Yeet.
I like how this all worked out perfectly.
They rush to the museum where his wife is to say goodbye.
The girl mummy knew what was up, trying to cover her face, wearing a mask.
Before her time.
A queen, literally.
Harold gives Marshall his amulet, He says bye to his wife and finally goes to rest. What I'm assuming is next day, Marshall decides to get rid of his scary stuff.
Oh, now you're parenting me. Where were you these past few days?
And you should marry him.
Marshall also finally accepts his mom's boyfriend.
Other people shouldn't stand in their way.
He's like, well, he's gotta ask.
It'd be funny if they were only been together for like a couple months or something.
Yeah.
You guys gotta get married. Things get awkward between Marshall and Amy now.
What is this awkwardness? You guys are just hanging out like last night.
Loser.
But the awkwardness passes and they go back to teasing each other. I don't know. I thought this movie was interesting. I think I just enjoyed it because it was goofy and it was like spooky times. I didn't understand why Marshall was like that. Marshall was like so against his mom's boyfriend. I don't know. Like the relationship with the friends were fine, but like I don't know. I was just confused, I guess, about what was going on in terms of like the relationships outside of Marshall and Harold, and why that relationship was like the tipping point of him deciding to get rid of his Halloween stuff. Like what about that made him grow up?
Because of how they set it up at the beginning with him being not accepting of like this relationship with, you know, his mom and this guy, it felt almost like a lot of whatever he was going to do was going to be because of that. Like, but then we didn't really learn much about that relationship at all. All of a sudden, he's just with his friends, and they found this mummy, and then changing, I guess, because of this mummy. But what did he change from other than like, okay, fine, he accepts him now, but what? Why?
I wasn't really sure what was going on, or what like the major theme of the story was. Maybe family problems. It was also kind of romance, because obviously like the whole point was the fact that, oh, I can appreciate love now.
I feel like it touched on little bits of each one, but none of them were actually like, all right, this is the central theme of the movie. And so it was hard to pinpoint exactly what it was. So I think for that reason, it's just like, I wouldn't be able to pin it down to one exact, you know, definite theme. I think it's just more of a whatever. There's a mummy and it's Halloween.
I think it definitely wanted to make it something like a coming of age, loss of innocence sort of thing, and it didn't really hit the necessary beats for that. My opinion is still that it's a fun movie. I guess I expected it to be more nuanced than it was, but I was also surprised by how not Disney-like it was.
Yeah, I think that was, I mean, I couldn't remember much of it because, again, I think I'd only ever seen it one time, like super long time ago. So it was almost like watching it for the first time, other than, you know, me knowing kind of like the overarching plot of it with the mummy. But yeah, I was surprised at how un-Disney-like it was with its references and some of its jokes. You think of movies like High School Musical or some of the other newer ones, and even not that new, like you think of maybe like Xenon or something. Like you don't think of jokes like that wouldn't slide in some of those other movies, so they're not things that you would normally think, oh, okay, here's a joke about a kid talking about sleeping in the nude. Like that's weird. We wouldn't think of that in a Disney movie. I think some parts were definitely a little bit boring. They're slow for sure, but I think overall it was an entertaining watch.
What do we rate it on our protozoa scale? So we have tier 1, which is just how it holds up, timeliness, visual effects, the jokes. Is it too dated? Tier 2, the storytelling. Is it like a good story overall? And 3, what we think of it.
Well, I guess I'll start off with the effects. I just think of the mummy. I think the mummy itself, the way it was, you know, fixed, I guess, for lack of a better word. I thought it was pretty good for what the time was. It didn't look too corny. It looked like a mummy. I thought that was pretty well done. And I don't think there were any other fancy effects really, other than like when it came to life or whatever, and that wasn't even that much. That was like literally a light shining on its hand. In that regard, it was pretty well done. The jokes, I thought they were fine. Nothing was like too hilarious, too like ha ha ha. I think the jokes that they tried to pass off as jokes, they were like chuckle worthy, but they weren't like, oh my god, this is hilarious. I think what made it funny, and I think stands to today, shining from it, was the mummy itself and Bill. The way he portrayed the mummy, it reminded me almost like a Mr. Bean, Charlie Chaplin, just very, I don't know what
Slapstick.
the word is. Yeah, the hospital scene was really funny. I'll give it a 4. Yeah, I was thinking of a 3.5, but I'll give it a 4 just because I think he made it. I think it's really funny.
Yeah. I think I'd probably give it a 3, maybe a 3.5. Yeah, they didn't really do too much in effects, so that's fine. Things were funny, but I do think that they relied, a lot of the jokes relied a little too much on like past knowledge. So like they have the jokes was like, oh, what am I dressed up as? So some of the jokes I think were a little too expended on that. What I think is funny is I actually just found out that they're going to remake it.
Whoa.
Yeah, like they announced this in October of this year.
Oh, wow.
Like this is very, very new news. So it looks like they're doing the exact same
Wow.
thing. In terms of the timeliness, besides like the random tech things that we saw and the fact that some jokes were, or not even some jokes, some parts were like, how did he get in contact with his friends without a cell phone? Things like that, I think, were the reasons why it felt dated.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. There's a lot of stuff that like with the phones and stuff, things that you look at now and you're like, that doesn't, what?
Level 2, the storytelling. Does it make sense?
Okay, I think we already touched some of the parts that that don't make sense, or that they don't really touch on to make it make sense. With the boy, like, why is he like this? What is his storyline? Like, what is his growth exactly? How did he get from A to B? Because we don't really learn much about it, and I think that bothered me too. I didn't feel like really connected to the character, if that makes sense. When you're thinking about like the story of the mummy itself, and that, fine, it made sense. You're trying to get it back in sarcophagus, but I don't know. I guess I just didn't feel as connected to it, to the characters, which I feel at the end of the day just is down to good storytelling. Like I didn't feel anything.
I'm gonna have to keep like tying this back to Terminator 2 just because I watched it today. There's a lot of similarities in terms of there's like this otherworldly being that's strong and big and not used to the regular customs of being a person and a single mom. And I think one thing that I feel like was lacking from this movie that T2 really did a good job is that you see in the kid's story in that he feels like he's missing a parent, so he uses the Terminator to be a surrogate parent. And that kind of happens here too, so like it's the same sort of relationship over a course of a few days. They build that relationship. I think it would have been great, since the whole point of this one was to be okay with his mom moving on, to also at the same time show a growing relationship with Ted, the boyfriend. But like we don't even see Ted again at the end.
I mean, obviously, it would have been hard because Bill was playing the mommy, but it almost would have been, I feel like I would have enjoyed it a little bit more, that it would have felt a little bit more earned if, like, instead of the book store guy or whatever, like, it was almost like Ted who was somehow, like, helping them. And it doesn't have to be, like, throughout the whole last bit of the movie, but at some point, like you said, like, if there was some sort of crossover or more interaction, because it's like, okay, I don't like you at the beginning. All of a sudden, like, yeah, okay, I accept him. It's like, but you guys haven't talked.
I think that the point that they were trying to make was that Marshall learns to appreciate love, because at the beginning he's talking about like, oh, everything ends in divorce. What's the point of real love? And then he sees like how much Harold loves his mommy, so he learns to and I think that's what they were trying to do, but then they didn't end up doing it. Like if we could have seen something besides just a mom saying, yes, I do really love Ted, but like actually showing it in a way that would connect in Marshall's brain. He needs to learn that love exists, but he doesn't. All he does is that like, oh, okay, my mom said it, and that somehow means that I don't like scary movie stuff anymore, which doesn't make sense because they're gonna go see a scary movie at the end. That
was really confusing. I don't know how whatever happened drove him to be like, all right, I'm just gonna take all my stuff out. I outgrew it. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, you could still enjoy what you enjoy. Because now you're accepting your mother's boyfriend and love? Like, how does that... They're not mutually exclusive.
So, I think I give it a 3 because I think in terms of just, like, a movie with a mummy and them trying to, like, do that thing, they did it, and they did it fine. But because of Marshall's arc was, like, not as great, like a 2.8.
I was gonna give it a 3 as well. It's weird. Like, I know it was a sports movie, but I almost felt like I connected more with like Brink as a character than like the characters in this movie. And I know that obviously the subject matter is different, but the actual story of the main characters I wasn't feeling very much. But the overarching one, it was, I don't know, it was fine. It was Halloweeny, so I think I'd give it a 3.
What do we think?
I thought it was entertaining. I think even despite its flaws, I thought it was a cute thing to watch. Like, I watched it, I turned on my pumpkin candle, I made hot chocolate, and I watched it, and it felt very cozy and Halloweeny. It's not like a terrible movie, but if you're really trying to dissect it and connect with the characters, maybe it's not the best. But I thought it was entertaining, so I think I'd give it a 3, just because some parts I will say were a little bit slow.
I think my nostalgia is still strong enough that I really like it. Like, there are the things that I remember, like the eye falling out. Although the jokes are dated, like, I personally really enjoy them. I laughed out loud when he said he was Dennis Rodman. Like, I thought that was hilarious. I also thought it was so funny. Like, I was cracking up during the hospital scene. Like, it's so stupid and so ridiculous, but I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And I think that Bill played Harold so great. Props for making me genuinely, like, freak out the first couple minutes with the fake movie, and then also crack up and not think about how the movie doesn't make sense while I'm watching it. I think I give it a 5 just because of the nostalgia for it.
Well, see, that's a good point you brought up too. It's like, I think when you're watching it through, it doesn't matter like whatever you think about Marshall's storyline. It's just a fun movie. I think when you're trying to dissect it, then obviously. But I guess you could have that argument for any DCOM, really. If you're going to really dissect it, I don't think anything's going to be like perfect.
Yeah, and I think that definitely is different. Like, when I was watching You Lucky Dog, like, there are things that I'm just like, I can't. But versus this one, I was just like, it's a fun, spooky movie. So I think it just depends on how you approach it.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think I was going down the list of the DCOMs, and there's some of the newer ones that I'm like, I don't want to watch. But I mean, watching these from the beginning, it's because of the nostalgia, you feel more excited about watching them. I did have a question though before we go. I know we kind of touched on this at the beginning of the movie, but if you had no choice and you had to have a creepy monster statue in your apartment, which one would you go with?
My head is going towards, did you watch What We Do in the Shadow? It's like if old-timey vampires lived now. And it's like a mockumentary style. And there's like the old Nosferatu type. There's like a new type. And they all live in this house together. And they're all just like drive each other insane because they're just bad roommates. But they made a show based off of it. And there's this one guy he's a vampire. His vampire power is to just like not drain blood, but to drain the energy out of people. So he like just talks about really boring things, and it just like makes you want to die. I don't want to live with him, but I don't know why my mind went there.
You just have a statue of this man and become part of it. I was trying to pick like a monster from one of like the classic like serial killer movies, but I don't think I'd be comfortable with any of them. So I think at the end of the day, I would pick Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror. It's just too scary. I feel like that would be my choice. Or like Casper.
Casper's a good one. He's a friendly ghost.
Those are the only ones I'd feel safe with.
Oh yeah, let's go back in terms of the review.
Okay, so it's rated 1 out of 10. You will not sleep after watching this if you can even finish it. Parents beware. When I looked at this and the poster, I thought, oh my god, this looks dumb and stupid and boring. This movie has so much gore in it, such as the opening where a monster barges into a kitchen and murders a man by pushing his head on the blade of a knife. Have your kids watch this and they'll come running to you at night and saying they had nightmares. By the way, I'm not a Karen. I am telling the truth.
I am not a Karen. No, you are. To be fair, that first scene was scarier than I expected it to be. That's why I messaged you about it.
By the way, I'm not a Karen. I am telling the truth.
Sure. We did things a little bit out of order here. We filmed Brink already. We didn't put it out because we wanted to have a spooky movie come out in October instead. So we're doing this instead. Keep following us for updates. We are Supernov-Amigas on Twitter. You can follow me and Myra at our handles below. Make sure you follow. Make sure you subscribe. We are the Supernov-Amigas. Till next time.
Bye.